Hello and welcome to our roundup of week 3 of the Kia Super League. We're going to start off by looking at the table as it stands, as we always do. We've got two teams, Sid, the teams that are sitting at the top that are currently definitely going through to finals day, and who are they?
Yep, Western Storm are sitting at the top of the table. They've got 30 points. They're definitely off to finals day, and Loughborough Lightning are also guaranteed a spot in finals day. They're on 28 points. And then we've got third, we've got Surrey Stars, fourth, Lancashire Thunder, fifth, the Diamonds, and at the bottom of the table, the Vipers. So everyone's played 8 games now, so there's just 2 games left for everybody, so everyone's in the kind of same position that ways.
Okay, and is anyone out of the running in terms of those bottom 4 and the third spot at finals day?
Yeah, so 3 teams going through to finals day. We know who 2 of them are. Who's the third one going to be? Is anyone out yet? And the answer is that no, nobody is out yet. Even the Vipers, sitting at the bottom of the table on 10 points, still have the chance to get finals day. Obviously, the Vipers still, though, depending on other results. In fact, the only team that aren't depending on other results are the Surrey Stars. So Surrey Stars have their destiny in their own hands. If they win both their remaining matches, even without bonus points, then they will be in finals day. Right. If the Surrey Stars start to lose matches, then it opens it up for other people, even potentially the Vipers.
Okay, and so we think it's most likely that the Stars are going to go through, in that third place spot.
Well, they've got their destiny in their own hand. If they win one game, then out of their 2 remaining games, then that puts them in a really strong position. Obviously, if they win both of them, they're definitely going through. So you'd think that at the moment, that will be the most likely outcome, yes. And
obviously, it's kind of what we're hoping for, because then that would be that 2 out of the 3 teams that we predicted in finals day would be in finals day.
They would be, but the Vipers still wouldn't be, so our predictions would still be wrong, unfortunately, Raf. But
well, you can't be right all the time.
We can't, and you know, congratulations to the Loughborough Lightning for what they've done. They've made finals day for the 2nd time. They made it on the first year, and they came 3rd in the first year. Then lost their semi-final. Didn't make it quite last year, but they're right back in it, and they've played really well, and they absolutely deserve to be there.
Yeah, plus they've given me a free T-shirt, so can't complain.
Which you're not wearing today.
No, well, I got a few complaints about being a bit partisan, so there we go. We should say as well, actually, make it clear that Western Storm are top of the table at the moment, but we don't know yet who will be topping the league. And yesterday, in their rained-off game against Vipers, it became clear that they were definitely going through to finals day. However, their next aim will obviously be to get straight through to that final. They were the ones that ended up playing in the semi-final last year, and then they did go on and win the final, but you know, they still seem to be very keen to top the league and therefore not have to play in the semi-final, so they obviously do still see that as an advantage.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, isn't it, that the teams that only get through to the semi-final always say, oh yeah, actually we think it's really an advantage, because of course we get to see the pitch first, and therefore we've got an advantage going into the final. But then, funnily enough, when it comes to actually fighting for that spot to go directly through to the final, coming first, they're pretty focused on that. And Western Storm still have to play Loughborough Lightning. That's happening at Edgbaston this week. Is it Wednesday? And we think that one's going to be on telly as well. So that should be a super hot game, and a really important one.
Absolutely. And I guess if we maybe start off by thinking about what Storm have done so successfully, because they do really seem to have had an absolutely brilliant competition. I mean, if you look at the top run scorers, obviously Smriti sitting at the top, but not only is she at the top, she's on 387, and then her nearest rival is Heather Knight, who's on 250 as it stands. So they just absolutely seem to have dominated with the bat.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was actually really disappointed we didn't see Smriti score any runs yesterday. Yeah. Not because she didn't play well, but because she didn't play at all, because she never got a chance to bat. And that was actually the first, yesterday we went along to Bristol, and it was the first time we had seen Storm this season, and unfortunately the game was abandoned halfway through the Vipers' innings. They couldn't get back on. But obviously, as we said in the last vodcast, Smriti has been absolutely outstanding, and Heather Knight's also, you know, been outstanding behind her. I guess the one thing that you can say about that is that the Western Storm have developed a really heavy dependence upon Smriti. That she's scored a whopping 43% of their runs off the bat, and that's absolutely massive. And to put that in perspective, in terms of like a team's dependency, the next highest one is the Thunder's dependence upon Amy Satterthwaite, who scored 26% of their runs. And then actually between Smriti and Heather Knight, they've scored 71% of the Storm's runs. So, you know, if you get them out, then, you know, you could be looking at an easy win there.
Yeah,
but
sure.
of course, actually getting them out is proving to be the problem.
That's the hard thing to do, yeah. So obviously that's what the other sides will be targeting, I suppose, come finals day particularly. Yeah,
but I mean, the form that Smriti in particular is in at the moment, you know, the thing to do probably is not target. Just try and get her off strike if you can. That's
she's just
all
outrageous,
you can do.
isn't she? Yeah.
Yeah, she really is. You know, she's looking like the most informed player in the world at the moment, no doubt.
Yeah. I said to her yesterday, I was interviewing her, and I said, "Are you the best? You know, people are saying you're the best T20 player in the world at the moment." And she sort of went, "Oh, no, Sophie Devine can hit it much harder than me, or much further than me." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I thought that was interesting, actually, an interesting perspective.
Yeah, I mean, she's being modest, but I think that Sophie, if we had Sophie in here now, she'd say the opposite. She'd say Smriti is the informed player, definitely, at the moment.
Modest. Sophie Devine's also having a very good tournament. If we switch focus to Loughborough Lightning,
yeah. So what about the Lightning then, Raf?
Well, Devine's currently the leading wicket taker in the tournament. She's got 13. And actually right behind her are teammates Jenny Gunn with 12 and then Kirsty Gordon, who's on 11, tied on 11 with Emma Lamb, but Kirsty Gordon's got a much better economy rate as it stands. So that's interesting. I suppose if we're thinking about kind of particular strengths of teams, then we'd probably say that Loughborough Lightning's strength then is with the ball. Although they have also made some big scores with the bat, but you know, those statistics about leading wicket takers are telling, I think.
So do you think that we might see a bat versus ball final potentially?
It would be great, wouldn't it? It'd be really exciting. Yeah, it does seem like we're probably on for a Lightning v Storm final, and I think that would be really exciting.
Yeah, it's just that you can never tell on the day, can you? So
no, absolutely.
Anything can happen in T20.
Yeah.
And then, so what about that third place? We agreed that the Stars are probably in pole position for that third place.
Yeah,
they had a really good week until about 2:30 today, didn't they?
Yeah, and then suddenly it all seems to have gone a little bit pear-shaped. They're bowled out for 66 by the Diamonds, which is a little bit of a turn off the books, really, because you would have said that Stars were kind of the informed side there. But there you go, T20, it's unpredictable. Yeah,
and the Diamonds chased it easily to get the bonus point. When in fact, if the Stars had won today, the Diamonds would have been knocked out.
Absolutely.
But the Diamonds, stormed through.
Yeah.
But up until then, the Stars have had a good week. Liz Lees found a little bit of form. She made a 70 and a 48. Marizanne Kapp's been bowling outstandingly. We saw her, bowl 3 overs for 4 runs earlier this week, which is, in a competition where bowlers are regularly going for 8, 9, 10 and over. That's just absolutely outstanding. And she's done it before. She was the most economical bowler in the last WBBL. That's what she's about, and it's why I think that she remains such a valuable player in the T20 environment. And there's not many bowlers that you think will be right up there in your first picks for T20 because it's such a batsman's game. But when she's returning figures like those, then definitely one of the world's top players.
She batted at 3 for them today, so that's also interesting.
She also top scored, although.
When they're all out for 66.
Joint top scored with 13.
Distinction. Yeah.
One of only 2 players to make double figures.
Okay. Anyway, so Stars a little bit unpredictable at the moment, perhaps, but they'll obviously be looking to bounce back after that defeat. Yeah,
they've still got to play the Vipers and the Storm. I guess the one piece of hope for the world in general is the fact that the Stars, the other teams need the Stars to drop points, and the Storm look unstoppable at the moment. And the Vipers still have to play them in their final game. So, the Stars have to play the Storm in their final game, and so the other teams that need the Stars to drop points, they could be on good ground, hoping that the Storm will win that final game next Saturday, and then Stars will drop points. That opens it up for everybody else still.
In particular, the Vipers, I guess, who at the moment are languishing.
Yeah, oddly, although the Vipers are last, in some ways, apart from the Stars, they're the best placed one, because if they beat the Stars, and then obviously they'll still be relying on the Storm to beat the Stars as well. But if they do that, then that could come through to them, and they could still come up the inside and end up there on finals day. And you get there on finals day, it's all to play for.
And one thing that was really interesting about yesterday's curtailed match, we didn't see a lot of play, but what we did see was that the Vipers had chosen to open with Tammy Beaumont and Danny Wyatt and drop Susie Bates down to 3. Now, as it turned out, Freya Davies got Tammy Beaumont for a first baller. So, great for her, well, great for Freya Davies, not great for Tammy Beaumont, and it didn't make a huge amount of difference to anything in the end. But that is interesting, and you know, if we're going to be critical of Vipers in terms of seeing the competition as a development for the English side and for the England team, then it would have made sense, I suppose, if you've got the England likely opening pair for the World Cup in T20s, that you would play them at number 1 and number 2. Obviously, if you've also got the best player in the world, Susie Bates, then you've got a bit of a dilemma going on. Is it that they've dropped her down to 3 because they think that you want your best player at number 3 and they've got a spot open there? Or, I mean, they did...
Well, there's lots of difficult questions there, aren't there? I think that potentially Susie hasn't had a great tournament.
No.
And she might have decided to just drop herself down to 3, and I think that's the most likely explanation. I don't think that the Vipers are particularly interested in necessarily doing England any favours. They want to win this competition.
Absolutely.
And they're going to do the best job that they can do to try and do that.
And that makes sense, doesn't it? That's, you know, from the perspective of the individual team coaches and the individual franchises, they want to win the KSL, and the development of domestic players kind of has to come second. And we did see that this week with Amelia Kerr was batting at 3 for Vipers. In that match on Wednesday at the Ageas Bowl. Interesting move, didn't quite pay off. Vipers did win that match, and I suppose that's really Susie Bates putting faith in a player who she obviously really, really rates. But it's not necessarily.
Well, interestingly,
great.
it was an England sort of prospect, almost someone that's probably that England calling is perhaps past. Paige Schofield was really important in winning that match for the Vipers by smashing 20 odd off the last couple of overs.
Mm-hmm.
So that perhaps suggests that she might have been actually the person to send up there. On the other hand, you send her up there, you know, she came in a less pressured situation perhaps, and she did the job at the end, and so, you know, it worked out. It's difficult to argue when it works out.
Yeah. It's just an interesting dilemma, I suppose, about what the purpose of the competition really is. But there you go.
So what about the Thunder? So we've got the Thunder in 4th place.
They've had quite a bad week, haven't they? They've sort of been on a bit of a journey through the competition. Started really, really strongly. This week they've actually lost all 3 of their matches, and they've done so quite badly in all 3 cases, haven't they? So it has been a bit of a poor week for them.
Yeah, lost to the Stars by 55 runs, lost to the Storm by 76 runs, and lost to the Lightning by 9 wickets. Eve James didn't play in the final game. The ECB Reporters Network reporter said that she'd been dropped. You know, she's the kind of the local player, if you like. She's a Lancashire player, and they've kept faith with their Lancashire players. So if indeed she was dropped, then that's
quite telling, isn't it?
Yeah.
About the situation there. But also, I think you do have to lay some blame with the fact that their kind of star overseas player, Harmanpreet Kaur, has really had a bit of a nightmare tournament in many ways. She's been run out twice on naught. One of those we think wasn't her fault, one of those we think was her fault. I don't think we were present on either occasion, so this is just what we've gleaned from other people who were there. So, you know, a little bit of bad luck, a little bit of misfortune, but also, you know, she's had a run of low scores that have been her fault, that she is responsible for. And if you're kind of
after
star
that opening match that we saw where she kind of smashed it at the Oval.
She had a really good opening game.
34 not out, and you know, she won the game for them. But then she's had 0, 8 and 4, which is not really what you want. But if you were gonna, you know, she is a player that blows hot and cold. Unfortunately, she's the most consistent thing about Harmanpreet for India has been her inconsistency. You know, on her day she can be the best player in the world, and when she's having an off day, she won't perform.
Yeah, well, they'll certainly be hoping that she blows hot this week in some of their crucial final matches.
Yeah, they're playing the Diamonds and the Vipers, so Yeah, and obviously again, they need the Stars to slip up, but they are in, in fifth place at the moment. No, fourth place at the moment.
Right.
They can still do it, but they'll need her to perform.
Okay, well, it'll be really interesting to see what happens in the last few matches. We've certainly enjoyed there being a longer competition, more cricket to get stuck into, and we'll see you in a week.